Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is F1 Fanatics. We are back with another classic race review. We are back on the sofa. Just another casual chat after watching what was another absolute classic race. Now, if you could see by the thumbnail, that classic race is the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix. And it was mainly dictated by a few things. The Williams, the McLarens, and a very young emerging talent. A young talented German driver. I think he has a bright future in the sport.
Maybe, yeah.
He maybe had a bit of success with the...
glimpse of little potential in there.
He did. Maybe showed a little bit of success with that team top you're wearing. I think he might have done okay with.
Maybe.
But yes, we will go on. And as usual, we will review the this classic race. So we'll kind of go through the race and kind of give our final thoughts and standings on it, because it's brilliant. And this one actually we watched on YouTube, so we had the classic kind of commentary of Murray Walker and James Hunt, which was brilliant. There were some kind of, as always with Murray Walker, little gems hidden in there, which we might kind of note one or two as we kind of go throughout. But yeah, that was brilliant. So I will leave the description to the full the link to the full race in the description down below. I always say that, leave the description to it, like I'm going to describe the whole race. And then I'll also leave another video at the end that it'll make sense when we get to the end. If you haven't already watched it, if you have a very good idea of what's coming at the end of this classic race review. But first, before we kind of get into that kind of race start, we're going to take a look back at the background just prior to the race.
Well, the season as it was, probably quite similar to these days, dominated by one man and one team. And that was Nigel Mansell and Williams Renault. This was Monaco was the 6th race on the calendar. He had won the last 5 races, so the first 5, and had also got pole on every single race, including Monaco.
His teammate Riccardo Patrese was in 2nd position. The reigning world champion at the time was Ayrton Senna in 3rd. Jean Alesi was in 4th, and we had the other McLaren in Gerald Berger in 5th, and a young Michael Schumacher in his Benetton, only his 12th race. This was his first ever race at Monaco. We're starting in 6th position. And
those are our main 6 kind of drivers for this.
Well,
there was a couple of,
There was Martin Brundle as well.
Yeah.
But we'll get on to him during the
spoilers.
race. Spoilers alert. In terms of there. But anyway, the race started. Nigel Mansell got off to a flying start. Riccardo Patrese looked like he got off to a good enough start, but into the first corner, Ayrton Senna was able to kind of claim 2nd position and get ahead of the other Williams, dropping Riccardo Patrese down into 3rd, and Michael Schumacher also on the first corner was able to get past Berger, which then put him behind Jean Alesi. And then the early stages were dominated by 2 battles, the first of which was for 2nd and 3rd, and that was between Senna and Patrese. In the far superior Williams, Patrese was all over the back of Senna, but Senna was defending rather well, making it incredibly difficult for Patrese to get past, and I believe he had a gearbox issue, which then later forced him to kind of fall further behind Senna, and never really kind of saw Senna again in the race after that. But the other battle at the start...
Well, I was going to just say we should know, because I don't think we mentioned, but Senna was probably in the 3rd fastest car on the grid, because Benetton was 2nd in the World Championship, so Senna doing a great job holding off.
But obviously a 4-time winner at this stage at Monaco.
Exactly.
So if there was any race that is an equaliser, it would be Monaco for Ayrton Senna.
Yeah. But anyway, on to the other battle going on was between Schumacher and Alesi. Schumacher in the quicker car, but Alesi doing a great job defending. But they came together in the Lowe's hairpin, Schumacher making a bold move on the inside of the second hairpin. But they managed to both survive it, well, relatively. Looked like Schumacher did some damage to the body of Leslie's car. And then eventually, although Leslie did a great job defending for a few more laps, Leslie finally gave up the position to the quicker car of Schumacher.
Yes, and I think it was damage sustained in that collision that they had in Lowe's hairpin that subsequently forced Alesi to retire on lap 28. And it was rather funny when he did retire because, well, it was quite funny because at the start I think it followed Mansell and Senna a bit around, who were kind of, you know, in little gaps. And James Hunt's like, I want to see this battle between Schumacher and Alesi. After that point, it seemed for the next kind of 40 or 50 odd laps that every lap we were following Michael Schumacher. And first it was this battle with Jean Alesi where obviously the damage happened, and then we had this on board of Alesi just kind of slowly going off the side road. And I think, you know, on-boards were kind of quite a new thing. Well, especially I think from 1989 was the first season that they were allowed full on-boards for qualifying laps. So, and it was early technology because quite a lot of the times you would be following the drivers and it would be on an onboard of a driver following, and then it would just kind of like crack up and you're like, oh no, we've lost contact. But obviously, you know, there were no issues on that one. But yeah, it was just...
Alesi's was an odd one. Even it was stationary. It was about 10 seconds. I've just seen Alesi stationary in his car looking about like, okay, I'm going to get out my car now. It's like, okay, it's like going to happen here?
We're going to watch the racing again now? But it wasn't even like on Sky Sports, you know, when they were kind of talking about the incident more. I think Murray and James were still just commentating on the race, and we were just kind of watching, you know, Jean Alesi, just like, that's me done. But probably the next guy I would talk about is Martin Brundle in the race, and he was fighting, I believe, at the time for 6th position. I think he was hunting down Berger at the time, but he locked up going into the Nouvelle chicane, running across it, got a puncture and damaged his front wing.
Double whammy.
Yeah, which then put him a minute behind. But did that stop Brundle?
Oh, no. That Benetton was a quick car, and he made it quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I ran out of words there.
That's simply put. Here at F1 Fanatics, we do like to give the in-detailed explanations. He drove car quick.
He made the most of it.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he set... in the first race, he broke the lap records that was previously held by Alain Prost. I think he took a full second off that, which, you know, was pretty impressive round Monaco there. But he was basically flying around the field.
Had clean air, and he was just flying, yeah. And
I think he actually ended up in 5th position. So it was a fantastic recovery drop for him. But you didn't see any of it. If there was anyone I would compare Martin Brundle's drive to in modern day times, I would say it was very Carlos Sainz-esque.
Yeah. He just got the job done.
You just occasionally heard kind of Murray Walker just going, and Brundle's making his way through. And you're like going, great, I haven't seen it.
We had a bit of confusion later on the race where I think Murray and Hunt were like, what did happen to Brundle? Like, he came into the pits and it was like a minute long. What did happen to him? Anyway, back to Schumacher.
That was basically it. And talking about kind of classic commentary moments, it was, I think, on the young Brazilian, they were talking about, I think Nelson Piquet at the time was in hospital for I don't know if he had an accident, but yes, they were talking about Piquet, and then I think they were talking about Senna. They were like, another Brazilian, Moreno. You know, I didn't, at the time, I forgot to mention him because I failed to notice.
That was it, I failed to notice it.
I think he said lap 13, but it was actually lap 11 that Moreno retired. And he was like, and that, you know, in his 6th race in Formula 1 is actually his new record.
His best result.
Like going, oh no. What an absolute ribbon on that poor kid. It's like he's been in 6 races and getting to lap 11 has been his best
result.
And the best thing about it, he said it like it was an achievement. That's really good. So I'll tell you what, as a motivational speaker, it would have been brilliant. Go in there and go, don't worry about retiring again. That's a new record.
That was really good.
Yeah, I mean, there was only about another 60 laps, but don't worry about that. That's irrelevant in terms of. But that was crazy. But probably the main part of the race was dominated. Mansell was off. Yeah. He was flying. He built up a 20-second lead, and at one stage it was 30 seconds because Senna in second place, a back marker spun in front of him, and he had to kind of avoid that, which made him lose 10 seconds. So yeah, 30 seconds at one point, but still kind of, was keeping touching distance. But yeah, the main part of the race was really dominated by Riccardo Patrese and Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, it was a lot of the race of that, I think of the word battle between the two.
Yeah.
But Schumacher just couldn't find a way.
We often say it in, when we compare kind of narrow and street track circuits, that some of the art of the racing, it was still very exciting to watch, but it was probably the fact that it was really exciting to watch at the start. You're going, is Schumacher going to do it? But by lap 40 of watching
30 laps later, after watching this one battle,
you're like going, there needed to be something panning. But clearly, even if they had panned to Martin Brundle for a bit, making his way through the field, that might have spiced things up a little bit. But it was just like going, Patrese. And, it led to kind of funny kind of rumours being mentioned in the commentary box, wasn't it? It was
James Hunt had his little moment.
Yeah, and there was, the talks of Nigel Mansell sealing a new long-term deal with Williams through 1993-94, and the early rumours of a certain Alain Prost coming out of retirement to return to Williams. As it transpired, obviously Mansell left Williams at the end of 1992. I don't think he particularly wanted to. Deals broke down. I believe there was a deal on the table and it got pulled from him because Alain Prost did sign for kind of Williams in 1993 and went on to secure his 4th World Championship. But yeah, that fight between Patrese and Schumacher was intense at the start, but then it just kind of fizzled, and that's how it ended, isn't it? Patrese was able to get the podium.
Yeah. But drama at the end. Obviously, Mansell's cruising, superior car. He's never won at Monaco. This was the one race he wanted to win.
All drivers want to win at Monaco. Yeah. If you ask a driver what's the race that they want to win at, it's got to be Monaco.
Yes.
For some fans, they may say it's not the most exciting race, but the history and the kind of skill that's required to drive around the streets of Monaco is certainly one that you want in your CV.
Senna, I think he made a comment at the start of the race where he wasn't expecting to get much. He said he needs patience if he was to get a result here. He's won there how many times before? 4 times?
It was 4 times at this stage.
Yep, at this stage. Like that little comment in there.
Well, he won in 1993.
So, it's just Mansell on course for his first win at Monaco. Senna just in second. It's a great result for that car. But disaster. Mansell picks up a puncture and has to get a fresh set of tyres. What happens next?
Well, after picking up his fresh set of tyres, Senna has managed to get ahead and is 9 seconds in front of Nigel Mansell with, I believe, 5 laps to go. Well, for the next 2 laps, Nigel Mansell breaks the lap record that Martin Brundle had previously set in the race, not once, but twice,
back to back,
to end up on the tail of Ayrton Senna for the last 3 laps of Monaco.
He also had to get past 2 back markers whilst doing those lap records.
He was a man on a mission. But what followed is probably maybe 3 of the best laps ever driven at Monaco. in terms of by Senna and Mansell.
I've never seen anything like it.
Like, first, also, we mentioned it when we were kind of watching. I don't know if it's because of how cars have developed and how smooth. They just look smoother, and so when everything looks smoother and more well run, it maybe looks a bit slower. Obviously, the smaller and more erratic cars of the 90s and obviously before that, they just looked like they were absolutely flying around these streets. And then that probably makes this even more intriguing to watch, because Mansell's front wing was basically on the rear tyres of Senna. And like, I think the penultimate lap was probably the best out of all of them.
Yeah, it was when they came out of the tunnel into the swimming pool chicane.
The Novak chicane, yeah.
And it was just, it was the front wing. It was like there wasn't anything there between the cars. It was like they're going to crash. Mansell's just going to lose it. He's just lost the lead of the race. Senna's holding him up. He's just going to lose it. But no.
It was
spot on driving from both of them. The defensive display from Senna. He's got worn tyres, slower car, and his Mansell, much more grip, much better engine.
A dominant car.
They also have the, it was the first year of the paddle gears, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was indeed. And obviously I believe Senna was still in the upshifting gear.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, I'm pretty sure it was paddle shifts or whether it was just kind of a quick flick.
Yeah.
In terms of it compared to the other drivers. They certainly had like a revolutionary system in terms of that. But yeah, it was like you just literally, what was that kind of Michael Scott gif from The Office where he's just like, that was literally watching it. You were just like, oh my God. It's tense. Like, even though I've watched that end a few times now as like, you know, just on itself, just watching that, I've probably watched that battle before I've watched the full race. And, you know, even though you know that Senna defends it and he wins his 5th Monaco Grand Prix and he equals Graham Hill's record that year to become, you know, the equal most wins at Monaco of all time, the King of Monaco, on his way to winning his 6th in 1993. But it was just grit, and that almost feels like what it should be at the end of the race. They're kind of building up to a climax, and you know the best part. You've invested. It's a 2-hour race. You've invested, you know, a previous hour and 50 minutes in this race.
You survived the Schumacher battle with everyone. He
betrays it in a race.
You survived those two. And you finally got your reward. Senna versus Mansell.
And it wasn't something to let down. Absolutely incredible. And, you know, to show how much effort that Mansell put into this, he collapsed once he got out of the car on there. He'd literally exerted everything. And it is a shame that a driver of the quality of Mansell, well, one, he did go on to win the 1992 World Championship. It's a shame that he only has one World Championship to his name. Yeah.
Feels like a driver that should have been 2-3 times World Champion.
Yeah, obviously he missed out. I believe it was in 1986 at the Australian Grand Prix where he suffered a late puncture that stopped him from winning the title that year. Prost claiming his, I believe that was his third, no, it would have been second title actually there, because he won in 89, beating Senna in that one. But yeah, it also seems a shame that Mansell was never able to conquer the streets of Monaco, and this really felt like this was the one. But I think when something happens, when he's driven literally the perfect race, James Hunt, all commentary, all race was basically going, it's amazing how Mansell has kind of, you know, matured, he's learned, he's kind of gradually building the gap. He's now put it up to 20 seconds. This is just such a professional performance from Mansell.
Oh, no.
And knowing what happens, it's almost heartbreaking hearing that. You know, first time round you wouldn't have been like that, but knowing the outcome, you're like, oh, Nigel, oh no. Oh. But it was a brilliant race, and it is a classic. And the overall race was intriguing, those battles to watch, and they were close. especially the kind of starts, the Senna Patrice one and the Schumacher Alessi one was really interesting. But it was really topped off by two of the best talents of their generation at that time, just literally going wheel to wheel racing. And it was, Mansell's first time he'd had to race that season because the Williams was so dominant. And obviously, the first one that the Williams didn't win a Grand Prix that season.
So, one of the minority of that season.
It certainly was. But that was the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix, and that is another classic race review. We hope you have enjoyed that one. Absolutely brilliant. Like I said, I will leave in the description below the link, got it right this time, to the full race replay, because it is on YouTube for you to watch, and obviously it's brilliant with the commentary of Walker and Hunt as well. It was nice, obviously. That is something we do miss with the F1 TV in the older pre-Sky F1 days. But also I will leave the 10-minute clip of that battle at the end. If you don't have time to do that, definitely watch the 10-minute battle, because that is something I think any F1 fan should watch, because it's just kind of absolutely fantastic.
Like I said, it's probably the best 3 laps ever driven in F1.
Maybe not F1 in history, because some of the rain laps, but in terms of Monaco, I would say.
In terms of Monaco.
I've
never seen anything like it in any of the races.
That's true.
But maybe we'll stumble across another race. Maybe next weekend.
Well, we will be in a classic race review next weekend, and we're going to go for... It was tempting. We've got a few. I think we're going to get a Prost versus Senna in Japan at some point. I think we're going to go for PK versus Mansell at the British Grand Prix.
We're not going to leave Mansell yet.
But next week, I think we're going to go with Schumacher, just a couple of years on, versus Damon Hill, another British driver, at the Australian Grand Prix in the title decider. So that will be a fascinating watch. But make sure you get involved in the comments down below, guys, what you thought of that battle, what you thought of the 1992 Monaco Grand Prix. It was a brilliant race, and it's enjoyable in this Corona break to have another kind of F1 race, going back and kind of enjoying the history of the sport a little bit more. But if you're new around here or haven't done so already, what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, they can subscribe, and they can ding that bell.
Ding that bell. And that's been it, guys. It's another classic race review. I know obviously previously in the week we've had some kind of technical issues with being able to edit videos in terms of that, so obviously we missed out on the Motorsport Manager, but we're hoping that's going to be coming out Tuesday, Wednesday this week, so a back-to-back, and then hopefully a back-to-back feeder series with Thursday, Friday videos as well, to make up for the one that we missed out on Friday as well. But yes, hope you look forward to that content coming out for you guys. Hope you've enjoyed this classic race review. But for now, you F1 fans, keep racing!